You might think these are different lifetimes or different people, but not for my guest. He looks like a simple man, but his experiences and his life is very profound. When I look at him, one word comes to mind. Simplicity is an advanced course. He did his MBA from one of the top universities in India, got a high-paying job, and then renounced everything to become a monk. After some time, he renounced monkhood too. He left the robes of monkhood. Later, he was then nudged to spread the teachings to the world. After some time, he got married as well. And within 6 years, they amicably separated. Now I know, this might seem like the story of someone really confused. On the contrary, it's quite the opposite. Let's find out why. Explore ancient India and ageless wisdom through his eyes. Dare to live your life fully. I present to you Nitya Shanti. Thank you so much for taking this time and really appreciate it. And I'm truly looking forward to connect to you as well. And my first question, to you is that you've been somebody who has had a very unique journey, and from being somebody who has at a very early stage in life known or been guided by something, an inner voice, and now taken a step ahead in that direction and move forward. Then after that, ways slowly started just opening up for you. And so before I start on ask you questions on your own journey, would you be able to please tell me that what, according to you, is the real India, the treasury of India?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So really, there's a nice teaching from the Indian tradition, yatha drishti tatha shrishti. The way you see it is the way you perceive it, right? And the way you experience it. So somebody asked my teacher, who are you? And he said, I'm a tree. You're a tree? What do you mean? He said, I'm a tree in the forest. And each person comes to the tree for something different. The woodcutter wants to cut down the tree for wood. A weary traveler wants shade. A hungry person is looking for fruit. A bird is looking for a nest. But the tree is just a tree, right? So in the same way, India is many things for many people, and it depends entirely on, like for some people, it's the largest economy, one of the largest economies in the world. For somebody, it's one of the largest democracies. Most people would agree that India is simultaneously in many centuries at once. I mean, minimum of 500 centuries, 5 centuries rather, 500 years. So you'll find people doing practices from 500 years back right now. That's happening now. And then there are the most modern cutting edge things in the world are also happening here right now.
What has been your find? What treasures have you found from India?
For me, India is an energy field. Everything is an energy field, and I experience India as an intelligent field, which responds. It's a very responsive field, and it's something like a mother. Mother will respond to you. So it's appropriate to call her Mother India, which is highly intelligent. And for me, India the teacher, and India is here to wake you up if you're ready for it, and it'll nudge you in that direction anyway. And when I went to Thailand to become a monk, I was amazed how I experienced Thailand is so different from India. For India, I had a sense of deep roots going into the ground, and Thailand I had the sense of like clouds, like lofty, like there's a kind of a light energy in Thailand. And so it's been interesting for me traveling the world. Each country has its own energy field. And so India definitely has this a little bit of a no-nonsense, I'm here to wake you up kind of feel. And but of course also at the same time, like I said, each one will get what they need. I remember being in Utah and somebody said to me, Nithya, are you from India? I said, yeah. So she said that she had come here, and for the first 4 or 5 days she was in shock, because people who come from the West, culture shock, and of course shock of the poverty and shock of all of that, like total shock, right?
Yeah.
And then she said that was very beautiful. She said, then I got my India eyes. I said, what do you mean? She said, when I look past the poverty, when I look past the dirt and everything, then I saw people are actually happy, people are content, and people are, they're not complaining. And so I got my India eyes. So even now, my partner and I, when we complain too much, we say, can we put on our India eyes now? We're putting on these very judgmental, these first world eyes. It's not matching up to our expectations. What happens when you take out the expectations? And then you see, I think a good word is Leela. Leela is a good word for India. It's a divine play, right? And it takes a little bit of maturity for us to see that. Otherwise, at the surface level, it's chaotic, it's crazy. There was a German lady who came to India, and her chauffeur was noticing. So he said, "Madam, are you here for the first time?" She said, "Yes." He said, "How come you are so calm? Most people I pick up for the first time, they're taken aback by the traffic and they're taken aback by the chaos. How come you're so calm?" She said, "Good question." She says, "I'm a musician. And what I'm experiencing right now is an orchestra. This is an orchestra." So all this cacophony, she says, from one perspective, it's chaos, but from my perspective, it's an orchestra. And first time I'm experiencing myself inside an orchestra like this. For me, this traffic is an orchestra. So again, it's the way you see it is the way you get it. Yatha drishti tatha shrishti. And so India will give you what you come looking for.
Honestly, that's a very great perspective. I think nobody ever compared it to music before. That nobody ever I've spoken to. But what do you feel that do you feel that souls take birth in specific countries just to experience those certain vibrations or those opportunities? And in that way, do you feel India is the land for opportunity for spiritual evolution as well?
I think I have a more non-dual perspective on this. It's not so much that souls are taking birth in a land and experiencing. Yeah, you could look at it that way from one perspective.
Yeah.
From another perspective, it is just an outer. I mean, really, am I taking birth in a land or the land taking birth in me? It's a good question to ask, right? Am I coming to India for liberation or is India coming to me for liberation? And these are good questions to ask. We shouldn't just go with the normal assumption that I'm a soul taking birth in a land or even in a body, right? So I think it's nice to question all of these things. And what I would say is my outer world is a perfect reflection of my inner world. Now, is the inner coming to the outer? Is the outer coming to the inner? These are nice questions to stay with. So I wouldn't like to create a story around that. I'd like to question the stories we normally tell, and then see where it takes us. Everything is interwoven, and the Buddha says the entire universe in this body, in this fathom-long body, the entire universe is hidden here. So all the mysteries you're seeking of this world, all the gods and goddesses, they're all right here, right? And then the land is just going to respond to your intention, right? So if you're coming with the intention of I want to get liberated, then all lands will respond. That's the resonance you're putting out. The signal you're putting out is the response you're getting back.
Right.
So we've got to really get clear about the signal we're putting out. And then whatever is needed from whatever land, some very awakened teachers never even came to India. But they got what they needed from India. Like they found a book of Ramana Maharshi somewhere. And they got the adjustment that was needed, they received it, right? So like this, whatever is needed, like for example, one of my main practices comes from Hawaii. It's a teaching called Ho'oponopono. I've never even been to Hawaii. But this teaching has come to me. And for me, it's like a nice summary of a lot of things that I've learned. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you and I thank you.
Yeah.
And the idea of taking responsibility for my experience. If it's in my experience, then it is my own subconscious mind that's showing up. And instead of reacting to my experience, can I be more attentive? Can I come to a zero state? And then from there, respond with inspiration as opposed to react to it.
Beautiful. Have a look at these pictures. What do they symbolize to you? Chaos, anger, adventure, excitement, thunder, longing. But amidst all of this, rests silence. That's the India that I want to bring to you. I loved how he said that even though someone isn't here physically, India will come to them. For instance, Ramana Maharishi's book. Bit by bit by bit, and step by step by step, he simply follows his inner guidance with crystal clear clarity. Find out how. Tell us a little bit about your path.
When I was 5 years old, somebody asked me, what will you do when you grow up? And I said, I'll be a sanyassi. Sanyassi is a word for a renunciant. So I don't remember that, but someone said that to me. So I don't know where this is coming from, but from an early age, I was drawn to these kinds of things. In India, we have these comics called Amar Chitra Katha, which are the mythological stories of India in comic fashion. And I would read those, and I was particularly fascinated by the rishis and the munis and the holy people in those comics. And I would sometimes, I have a photograph of me as a kiddo sitting like this, meditating, pretending to meditate, whatever. So I think there was some kind of an affinity. I remember going once to Rishikesh on a school trip, and I saw some caves. We were hiking, and I saw some caves where probably some sadhus were staying. There was just a small cave with a little uh, lantern and a blanket and some books. And I said, man, this is the life. What are we doing? This is the life. So how many people think this is the life? In my case, this is the life. This is the way to do it. And I said, what am I doing in my home with all my big collection of music and books and all that? What is it? This is nonsense.
What age?
So I think there's some. I must have been in my maybe between 10 and 14 or something like that. 10 or 13, something like that. Yeah, quite young. So I think this is in India. This is called sanskara. These are impressions we carry from who knows where. And so I was getting that was my affinity. But I forgot about all of that. And it was only when at the age of 16, 17, that I went for a meditation course that it got reignited in quite a strong way. And I realized that, this is what I want to do. I want to uncondition my mind. My mind is full of so many reactions, and I'm always looking outside for validation. But the real peace and happiness I'm seeking is inside. So my journey began.
16, you knew that that your mind is separate and you, the self, is.
Yeah, I got a glimpse of that. I wouldn't say I fully knew, but I got a glimpse of the fact that that I'm not this. I'm not what I think I am, for sure. That's for sure. I'm not what I think I am. And I also got a taste of what could you call it? The unconditioned state, or the zero mind state, or what I call happiness for no reason. I got a glimpse of what it is like to just be, not to do, not the happiness of having and doing and accomplishing, which is what we're used to, but the happiness of being. And I got a glimpse of that, and that glimpse was strong enough for me to then it just kind of completely reshape my values. Before that, if you'd asked me what I want to be, I would have said I want to be a fashion designer. And if you'd said why, I'd say that's where all the girls are and that's where all the money is. But all that changed with this complete. I just realized that no, I'm just copying what other people are doing. That's not my real values. My real values are to discover who I really am. I'm a lover of truth. I'm a lover of wisdom, and I'm just curious about life. I don't want to just take ready-made answers. I want to find my own direct understanding. I don't want to just be religious, taking on what belief systems I've been given. I want to go on the path of wisdom. I want to find my own answers and then check what other answers resonate. So that journey began. And then just very briefly, I went on to do an MBA. I worked for a short while in the corporate world. And then I left that. I became a Buddhist monk for about 6 years or so in Thailand and Sri Lanka. I was living there. And at some point, that journey also felt complete. And now it's been about 10, 12 years. And I've been traveling and teaching things that I've learned along the way with groups all over the world.
When you had that glimpse of truth, and then you went on to XLRI, you studied for entrances, you got through the MBA, you did this big MBA and started a job. So was there sort of an inner conflict when you started MBA, or do you think that you needed to do that to realize that this is not really what you want?
Yeah, I almost didn't do it. I said, what, this is not me, and why do I need to do this? But I had some friends who I really respected, like friends/teachers. And they're like, just do it. You already got an admission. Like, I'd given the test and everything. I'd gotten admission. You already got admission. Just do it this couple of years. And then tomorrow, let's say you even become a monk. But I was already thinking of becoming a monk. From the age of 17 onwards, I was thinking of becoming a monk. So that thought was there. I wanted to be a monk. I wanted to go deeper into this. So they said, you first do this. And then tomorrow, if you don't want to be a monk, at least you have something to fall back on. You don't have to feel like you're, completely unemployable and nothing. So I think mostly out of respect for them, I was very keen to become a monk even earlier. But because they were so insistent that I should complete my education, I just went along with it. So for me, actually, my whole MBA, I was very playful. I really, at one level, I didn't care at one level. I didn't care if I pass or fail. I just didn't, at one level, I didn't care. Of course, I did it. I went through the motions. And because I had this I don't care attitude at some level, I actually did very well. Very well in the sense, when you get hung up,
Yeah.
oh, I need to prove myself. I don't have anything to prove, right? So whatever I liked, I would study that deeply. Whatever I didn't like, I just do the bare minimum and get by. But I had some strong ethics. Like I said, whatever happened, I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to use any malpractice. And I'm good. There was even a time when after a test, everybody had gathered around the teacher's room, and they were asking for, they asked, you've given me less marks for this and less marks for this. And I walked into the room and said, sir, you've miscalculated my marks. You've given me extra points, extra marks. And he's like, look at him. He's come to reduce his marks. He's not come to increase his marks. But that was just me, and I just said, I'm gonna walk on the path of truth. And if that means I can't finish this MBA, so be it. In fact, my roommate was in India we call topper. He was like the top of the batch. He was one of the top students of the batch. And he'd get anxious looking at me. Because I'd be meditating and I'd be reading and I'd be sleeping. And they wake up, we have an exam tomorrow. Yeah, we got an exam tomorrow. And then I just opened, we had like 100 pages to read. And I just read 10, 15 pages. And always those 15 pages came in the exam, like every single time. Like, you're a lucky person or what? But I don't think it's luck. I think when you are living like this, then life supports you. The more you follow I made a strong determination. I will meditate for an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening. No matter how busy it gets, no matter how difficult, I'm going to do my morning and evening practice. And because I prioritize that, it's like life supported me. And I was able to get through all my exams and all my projects and everything quite smoothly. So I think, it's a matter of you decide what your priorities are. Don't let the world tell you what their priorities are. You decide. And then everything goes quite smoothly.
Was it because at a certain level, you had vowed that no matter what, I'll follow my conscience and, I'm connecting to myself, that life just, like you said, supported every decision you made. And what some people call it luck, it's literally the surrender that you live with.
I think it's true, yeah. Because the thing is, you decide what your goal is. You decide what's really important to you. And then you get earnest and sincere with that. And then let life orchestrate, let life organize itself around that. Instead of letting life, these circumstances, that circumstances, this person, that person, it's trying to get your validation and energy from there. You source it from within yourself. And then that way everything else organizes itself around you.
So tell me something about your heart-to-heart connection with Mohanji. He introduced me to you, and I would really love to know how you guys you both connected.
Mohanji, how did it happen? Someone gave me his number, I think. I just heard about him. I didn't know too much about him. Somebody gave me his number, and I think I sent him a message. Or I forget if he sent me a message, something like that. I think there was some Facebook connection. Somehow, I forget how it began. And then we just began exchanging messages in between for a few years back. And I was thinking of going to Europe, and I was a little bit more, because he lives in the Eastern European countries. So I was just discussing with him. I wanted to travel there. And then at some point I went to Shirdi, and I was telling him about the vegan cafe there. So we just exchanged some messages over the years. And somebody was trying to help me buy some land. And he said, I'm also helping Mohanji buy land. So there were some interesting connections along the way that happened. And I'm vegan. So I heard that Mohanji is also vegan. So I appreciate spiritual teachers who can practice compassion a little bit more deeply than just talking about it. So I appreciated the fact that he's also plant-based. So I guess those were some of the connection. And then once I just felt like messaging him and saying, I see you as an elder brother, because whatever little teaching of yours I've been exposed to, I can really relate to where you're coming from. And so in that sense, there is a resonance. And so yeah, the other day also I just called him up, and I think that's why he remembered me and told you about me. So I guess, yeah, that's just, I've never met him, but we've just connected. Sometimes you just have an affinity with certain people.
Why are you vegan? Not many people, and was there somewhere a conflict? When did you turn vegan, and why did you become vegan?
I read a book called Diet for a New America when I was a monk. It's by John Robbins, who was next in line to become the heir of the multi-million-dollar Baskin-Robbins empire. He's from the Baskin-Robbins family, right?
Yes.
And so he wrote this very beautiful book. The first part of the book is just about how intelligent all animals are. We think only dogs and cats are intelligent, but chickens are intelligent. A lot of the fish are intelligent. Cows are intelligent. Pigs are actually much more intelligent than dogs in many ways. Pigs, for example, can smell 16 times better, and they would be much better at airport security than any dog could ever be, right? So just reading these stories about animals and how incredibly smart they are. And the second part of the book was what really goes on in the livestock industry. What's the dirty underbelly of the food industry, and telling us what really goes on, and how these animals are kept, and how they're bred, and how they're artificially inseminated, and how they're given antibiotics. And just that part was just making me cry. Just reading that, oh my goodness, I did not even know this was going on. And how little, the calves are separated, and they're crying for their mother all the time, and their milk we're stealing, and they're not getting to drink it. And they're kept in these wooden crates so that their meat is more white in color. They don't get iron. They're not even nails put in the wooden crates, but they can't lick they're totally iron deficient. So the wheel looks more white. I just reading this, this is like humanity at its worst. So why would I want to support this industry even with a 50 paisa, even with 1 penny? Why would I want to support an industry like this? It's horrific at every level. Even the human impact is horrific. The kind of pollution that gets generated, this is the job that nobody wants to take. It's the lowest of the low jobs, right? Only people who absolutely have to take these jobs will take these. Nobody loves these kind of jobs. So anyway, when I read all of that, and the last part of it was the environmental issue and how the kind of environmental impact this industry is having. So when I read that book, I instantly went vegan. I thought, there's no question, I'm never going to have animal products, right? And my whole mindset changed. However, I was still a bit of a slightly flexible vegan in the sense that if people would invite me home and they didn't know I'm vegan and they'd made something for me, I'd like, okay, I don't want to offend these people, I'll have something. But then later on, when I met Nandita Shah, I kind of went even further. I said, no, actually, I actually don't mind offending people. I don't mind people getting disappointed because I want them to wake up to what they're doing, right? And so for now many years now, I've been a pretty firm vegan, and it feels right in my heart. It feels good for my health. I don't fall sick so often. If I do fall sick, I recover very fast. It connects with my compassion for animals and my love for the planet. I feel it all lines up, right? And I've really found no reason why anybody should have, there are 22 kinds of nut milks you can have, which have all the benefits. Why do we have to steal milk from a cow, right? Which is not even our species, right? So yeah, I mean, one can go deeper into it, but essentially that was the broad journey. And now my retreats are vegan, and when I do things, I like to make sure that no animal, like some films say, no animal was harmed in the making of this film. In the same way, I don't want any animal to be harmed in the work that I do. And to the best of my ability, I would like to live a life that is ethical and compassionate in my own way.
When you were a monk, were the people around you non-vegetarian or vegetarian? And then sort of, besides of that, you just said that, okay, I don't care if other people are vegetarian or non-vegetarian. I want to choose compassion and be vegan. So was there any resistance over there, or was it very easy?
In Buddhism, some people will be surprised to find that Buddhism is not a vegetarian religion. So Buddhists, the idea is you take what is given to you. And only if you suspect that the animal was specifically killed for you, then you're not allowed to take it. But the idea for monks is you're walking through a village, and whatever the villagers have made for themselves, they're giving you a part of that. So number one, you receive whatever is given. But step two, then you can decide what you want to eat. So as a monk, I would receive whatever was given to me. But then I would take out whatever I didn't want to eat. So then I was a vegetarian monk. But there was a phase in between where I lived in a very remote monastery where all I was getting was rice and fish. So I said, well, in this situation, it's all right. I'm not going to be that finicky about it. But usually, most of the time, I was vegetarian. And in Thailand, in Sri Lanka, my monastery was vegetarian. So then the food that came was vegetarian. And then I also dropped whatever little bit dairy that was there, I even dropped that. So yeah, I think there were historical reasons why the Buddha gave that. Like Buddhism would never have gone to Tibet, for example, if it was a vegetarian religion, because Tibet was not a place where you could grow enough of the fruits and vegetables needed. But now, with travel and roads and everything, I think most parts of the world we can do that. And the way animals were treated back then was very different from the way they are systematically bred and factory farmed. And I don't believe the Buddha was here now, he would say, yeah, thumbs up, just eat it, factory farm, no worries. I don't think so, right? Buddha back then said what he said, but now I don't think he would say the same thing. So yeah, that's people will do what they do. We all have to be true to our own conscience.
Very powerful statement. I'm a vegan myself, and I think that it's really important that no matter what, we we stick to our own conscience, and when you feel live and let live, and you believe in that philosophy, then I think we shouldn't compromise on such things. Completely agree. How do mystics connect to each other? I've noticed most masters, they have they have a language of their own. They're always in communion.
They're always there.
They're always in communion. There is no gap. It's somewhere their hearts are connected, or the silence connects them. But like you rightly said, it's a different language which we don't. It's beyond the mind.
Yeah, you said it. That's what it is. It's the silence. It's the silence that is the fabric of everything. And at that level, nothing much needs to be said. So when genuine, like there's a nice teaching in the Tibetan tradition, when two yogis meet and they disagree, one of them is not a yogi. And when two scholars meet and they agree, one of them is not a scholar.
How can you live multiple lives within one life and accelerate your inner journey, your spiritual journey? Never judge a book by its cover. See miracles happen when we follow our inner guidance. Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever felt an inner conflict while your inner world is telling you something else and the mind presents something else to you? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section. It's important to note how Nithya was supported during his examination only because he resolved to follow his gut. Does being fearless help in this whole process?
I think fear had a lot to do with your identity. And the more you practice any form of true spirituality, whether it's self-inquiry or meditation or whatever, layer by layer, what you assume to be yourself starts being seen through, right? So you can only be afraid when you have something to protect. But when you start really noticing that, my goodness, this is not a person here, this is just a process. There's a nice phrase one of my friends uses. She says, this is the activity of nothing. This is the activity of nothing. Very powerful. So if you can glimpse that this is the activity of nothing that's going on, this is not a person, this is just a program. This is a program in a larger program. This is a process in a larger process. The more you can glimpse that, then the fear automatically goes away. And even if it does come up, that fear is seen like an energy that wants to move through, and not like oh, I'm a fearful person, or what does it mean? No, it's just an energy that wants to move through you. And you let it move through, right? So you don't make a new identity. Not that I can never be afraid anymore. But if it'll arise, it'll be seen, it'll be known, it'll be given the space to be, and it'll do whatever it needs to do. It'll adjust whatever it needs to adjust, and it'll move through. And so that's the way it tends to be.
You make it sound simple. It's actually very deep. So, trying to be silent in the world of noises. It's not easy at all. Amazing. How after you became a monk, and what did you decide to do next? How did how did spirituality open up to you gradually?
I don't know if I really was deciding. It was it's like a inner current, and you kind of get in touch with that, and then it's like Joseph Campbell calls it follow your bliss, and it's like Rumi calls it follow every call that excites the spirit. So I think more and more you trust that, right? My teacher would say there comes a point in your practice where the heart tells itself what to do. So more and more I would check in within, like for example, during my MBA, I said, I love deep conversations, and most conversations are shallow conversations. I'm not really enjoying these conversations. The men are discussing girls, the girls are discussing boys, they're discussing careers. But all right, that's fine. But I mean, can we once in a while go beyond that? So I actually formed a group where we would sit for 20 minutes a day and just practice deep listening and just sharing from deep inside what questions are emerging, what hang-ups are emerging. And we just hold the space. We wouldn't try to solve each other's problems. It wasn't a support group, but it was a truth group where you would just share what was true, even if it was felt outrageous or it felt that, oh, that's not what we talk about normally. And then I was inspired to create a course on how do you find your life vision. And I was inspired to create a session, a practice of meditation. So these are all things, what I've learned in my life is I teach others what I want to learn. In fact, I'm very clear about it. Whether you people learn anything or not, I'm going to learn something, but this is what I want to learn. My teacher told me, teach others what you want to learn. So I guess in that way, just following Go ahead.
I was just saying, who's your teacher?
When I say teacher, because I've got about 300 people I've learned from. So at some point I've learned from. So this particular one is Ajahn Chah. He's a forest meditation master.
Okay.
So he said this particular one. Yeah, like I don't have any gurus as such. I think life itself is my teacher. And there are nuggets I've picked up along the way from different people. So yeah, so the spiritual journey, it wasn't so much decision making. It was more like a book would come along, a practice would come along, and I get inspired by it. I want to explore it some more. But broadly, at that time, at least, Vipassana meditation was the big element of it, meditating morning and evening. And that practice, I went to Bodh Gaya. I spent time with the monks over there. All of that deepened further and further. My inclination towards, I said, this is what I want to go deeper into. I'm not really, it doesn't excite me to get into the best organization, get the best salary and all of that. That doesn't really excite me. That looks like a bit of it's like what do you say? It's a new kind of slavery in disguise. You call it, we say in MBA that they'll pay you twice as much and take out 3 times as much work from you. I really didn't see it as that glamorous as many other people saw it. Yeah, this is just a fancy form of slavery. And what do I really want to do? What's really inspiring for me? One exercise helped. Stephen Covey talks about in one of his books to write your own obituary. I wrote my own obituary. What will people say about me when I die? And that really challenged a lot of the imposed values of others, what I should be doing. I really questioned all of that when I did that exercise. I said, but that's not, my obituary doesn't talk about how much money I have. My obituary doesn't talk about what position I have in a company. My obituary talks about things like what kind of person I am, what kind of qualities I have, how much fun I am to be with, if I'm there for people when they need me. Do I talk about people behind their back? What do I say behind their back if I do talk about them? So that completely shifted, and I began to realize that I can't just depend on what my college is telling me, or my friends are telling me, or my parents are telling me. I've got to be true to myself. Because I'm not here to please others. I'm here to live my truth. So all of those little things added up. And my interest and my clarity that eventually, sooner or later, I want to become a monk. Or I want to, or in some way, dedicate myself more deeply to the spiritual path. That was getting stronger along the way.
You said you went to Bodh Gaya, and what was Bodh Gaya like? What did you discover? Please tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Bodh Gaya is the place where the Buddha got enlightened. It's where the Bodhi tree is. And it's a little bit, what do you say? It's like all the Buddhist countries have put up their own monasteries there. So it's a little bit like a carnival. You can visit the Japanese temple, you can visit the Bhutanese temple, you can visit the Chinese temple. And they all had their own style of chanting. They all had the different Buddha statues. So, in maybe in just 1 day or 2 days, you can actually take a little tour, mini tour of the Buddhist world. What's Buddhism like in Laos? What's Buddhism like in Cambodia? What's Buddhism like in Thailand, in Tibet, and so on and so on and so on. And while at one level they look quite different, then you can also see the underlying similarities and the foundations and the fact that they all coexist peacefully. So again, Bodh Gaya is an energy field. And for those of us who've been inspired by the Buddha, then it has special meaning and value. And when you go to the Bodhi tree and you see that this is where the Buddha meditated, and the kind of strong determination he made, that even if I have to die, I would rather die than get up from this place. And that's the kind of strong determination which hopefully all of us at one point in our practice will be able to make. That now, no matter what comes, I mean, this is, I like to call it the point of reckoning. I've played this game long enough, and at what point am I willing to be swallowed up by the truth? Because we imagine we're going to get the truth. We're not going to get the truth. The truth's going to get us. We imagine we're going to get wisdom. We're not going to get any wisdom. Wisdom's going to get us. Right? It's the other way around. This little ego thing, this is the spiritual ego. I'm going to get. No, you're going to get eaten up. The ego is going to get swallowed up. And that ego has to more and more learn to trust. Our whole journey is trusting that as I allow myself to be eaten up, what's left is even more beautiful. So I allow my notions of security and control to be eaten up. And like this, I'm opening myself up to life. So these are places where there are energy fields, and a lot of practitioners over centuries have come and practiced here. And again, they'll have like India is full of polarity. So you'll find abject poverty at the same time. You'll find beautiful Buddha statues and wonderful monks and everything. So it's a place which is going to, you'll get from it what you need to get. And I went there several times, and it only further strengthened my intention of following that path.
Is this path easy, or are there some uncomfortable truths that about our own selves which resurface from time to time, which we have to grow beyond? And how do you attain that determination to go past it no matter what?
The Buddha has said someplace that this is a path that is beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, and beautiful in the end. He said it's a path without grumblings. In other words, if you're grumbling, you're not on this path, you're on some other path. And interestingly, the word easy and difficult, when people asked him, oh, this is difficult or this is easy. So Buddha would say, my disciples don't say this is easy. My disciples don't say this is difficult. They do what needs to be done. If there's a thorn in your toe, we say, oh, is it easy? Is it difficult? You say, just take it out, all right? I don't care if it's easy or difficult. I don't want this thorn in my toe anymore. So when you realize there's a thorn in your system, the thorn of constant dissatisfaction, constant discontentment, there's like an arrow that's been jabbed into you from you don't even know where. This arrow is there, and constantly comparing and judging and resisting life and wanting it to be a different way and wanting yourself to be a different way and then feeling dejected and disappointed. There's an arrow inside of our system. Where did it come from? I don't know where it came from, but what needs to be done needs to be done. So when this gets clear, I like to say too many people are part of a cult called difficult. And we should leave this cult. We should leave this cult. What needs to be done, yeah. In India, we are kind of pampered. Most middle-class people in India will have someone come and clean their home for them and wash the dishes for them and even cook the food for them. But when these same Indians go abroad, like to the US, they'll quietly wash the dishes and do the laundry and clean the house and vacuum it, and they'll not make one sound, right? Because what needs to be done, they'll not call back and say, oh, there's no one here to help me. You just got to do it. You got to wash the clothes, you got to wash the clothes, you got to vacuum the house, you got to vacuum the house. So I believe we should drop words like easy and difficult. And yeah, there'll be different phases in your journey. So there'll be phases where things seem to be going more smoothly, and then the storm comes. But you just see this is all part of the practice, right? So one basic understanding is whatever is happening is good. Whatever is happening is good. Even if it's pleasant, even if it's unpleasant, even if it's confusing, whatever is happening is good. Once you've taken on this path, now it's beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, and beautiful in the end. You take the words of the enlightened ones. You don't believe your mind. Robert Adams, one of my teachers, he says, when you think nothing is happening, that's when the most is happening. Our mind is notoriously bad at evaluating our spiritual progress. So when you think nothing, the meditations you thought were the biggest waste of time was when the maximum rewiring of your nervous system took place. But for you, it was a waste of time. And the one that you were getting all blissed out, pretty much nothing much happened because that was already done. That was just already there, right? Exactly. So our mind is notoriously bad. In fact, there's a nice definition of mind, MIND, mostly inaccurate neurodrama. So don't evaluate your spiritual progress. It's hopeless. Forget about evaluation. Just trust it. Trust. And whatever needs to happen will happen.
At one point in time, you told me that, you had some experiences and with Mahavatar Babaji, he shared some messages. Would you be willing to talk about those?
Yeah, this happened. It began with one of the first spiritual books I read was Autobiography of a Yogi. And I was very captivated by that book. I read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. I read Autobiography of a Yogi. These were some of the most early books I read, along with Buddhist books, Vipassana meditation. So I was very taken by the whole Kriya Yoga tradition. And in that book, Autobiography of a Yogi, there's an address where you can write to them and they'll start sending you postal lessons. Paramahansa Yogananda came up with postal lessons. You can do Kriya Yoga course by correspondence. So I began getting these lessons, and I was also doing Vipassana meditation. But at some point, I could begin to see a conflict. Because Vipassana was saying, don't do mantras, just be aware of what's actually happening.
Right.
And this one was giving mantras to do. So at some point, I was getting confusing. Now, which one should I do? They are kind of diverging. And I had to make a choice. So I said, okay, this is the postal correspondence course. I don't really have an actual teacher here. Here, I actually have a community and teachers. So while I respect both of them, I'm just going to go ahead with this particular path. So I went ahead with this and I left that aside. But I had heard someone tell me that if you chant Mahavatar Babaji's name for 3 days continuously, he will make his presence known to you. And I just found that fascinating, that he's that available. It just takes 3 days of chanting his mantra and he'll make his presence known to you. I didn't do it, but I just had that in my mind. So years later, when I was a monk, and there was a book in our library which showed up about Babaji. And I began reading it. And again, this tremendous devotion came up, and I began just chanting his mantra. And I began getting, synchronicity began happening, and I began to get certain dreams and certain visions, and certain clarity began emerging. And I was feeling confused at that time because I wasn't 100% sure I want to continue my spiritual journey as a Buddhist monk anymore. There were certain aspects of, what happens, any river along the way picks up all kinds of extra sediment, which was never the part of the river to begin with. So no matter how pure the source, it picks up sediment. So similarly, the Buddhist tradition, like any other tradition, it has its own patriarchy, it has its own superstitions, it has its own ideas about diet, and they had their own habits, which I did not always find to be the most intelligent for this time. Maybe they worked a few hundred years back, 1,000 years back, but at this point, I did not find them to be really sensible. And that may be my own ego or whatever, but I said, no, I'm not sure I want to spend my life upholding a tradition which I'm not 100% subscribed to. The teachings I subscribe to, but the expression of the teachings I don't necessarily fully subscribe to. And so at that point, I was getting confused. What's the journey ahead? So I began doing a practice where I would write down certain questions, and then I'd meditate and I'd invoke Mahavatar Babaji. And I'd open my eyes and I'd just write. Whatever, I wouldn't think, I just write. And then I close my eyes and I just thank Babaji. And then I'd open my eyes and I'd read. And I'd be stunned by the clarity of the answer. They were like such authoritative answers. They were like answers which I could not have just imagined myself to write. They were like very crisp. They almost had a certain wit to them. They were like witty. They were sharp. They were simple. It seemed like Babaji's personality, like clear, precise, no nonsense, do this, right? And there was a certain spiritual authority to those answers. So after doing this a few times, I began to really feel guided. And then certain more synchronicities happened. I met many people who had physically seen Babaji. I've never physically seen him, but I've sensed him and I've felt him for a long time. And for the longest time, I would invoke Babaji and a few other of my main teachers before I would teach. And I would feel that they were guiding my teachings, right? But I didn't feel that Babaji or others wanted me to talk about them that much. To me, that it felt like they just wanted to be in the background. So it's only recently that I've begun talking about these things, but I haven't really talked about these things too much in the past. So yeah.
Not many people, they join a religion. I mean, they become a monk and then, the resolve to listen to your inner guidance, no matter what, that is commendable. I salute you for that. It's really, I even admire you a lot for that. And then you decided that you don't want to be a monk, but you still want to carry the teachings with you and dive deeper into the same practice. So I would say, am I right in saying that it's the extension of the same practice?
I would say it also expanded, because one of the reasons I left my monk life was I realized I'm not very suited to a very flat spirituality, I would say. Like mine is a very multidimensional spirituality. Like I don't know if it's my past sanskaras or whatever, but I can really get it. I can really get where Tibetan Buddhists are coming from. I can really get where Sufis are coming from. I can really get where non-dual teachings are coming from. I just get it. I get where devotional teachings are coming from. So I can't just, when I've experienced inside myself that each one of these is a valid way to the absolute, then I can't pretend to say, oh, Theravada Buddhism is the one and only way. I just can't do it anymore. Like, yeah, this is one way, this is a way, and it's for many of you, it's going to be a good way. But it's not the only way by any means. And there are many other skillful means. So now it would have meant that, okay, I'm one of these strange Theravada monks, Theravada, the southern tradition of Buddhism, who talks about other things. And as it is, there's so much confusion in Buddhism and every religion. And so do I want to add, if I'm being a Theravada monk, let me just talk Theravada, right? So, but if I want to share all these other things, then it's appropriate for me to step out of the Theravada fold, because let that tradition continue in its purity. It's important for things to remain pure and not to mix and dilute them. If everyone started mixing and diluting things, you wouldn't even know where it went. So it didn't feel appropriate to me. So just because something resonates for me doesn't mean that's necessarily what I need to do in that particular form. So for that reason also I left. So yeah, I would say it expanded this sense of I'm a curious person. I would say I'm even creative, innovative person. So I take what I've learned and then I find my own way of expressing it. And I've over the years developed so many of my own practices, which I don't know, maybe at one level everything's been invented. There's a nice quote: whatever had to be said has already been said. But because no one heard it the first time, it has to be said again. So perhaps there's nothing truly original, But at one level, it does feel original. The way it's coming through me at this time does feel original. And so I honor that. And I also honor all the inputs and guidance and support I've received from all my teachers and all the traditions I've been a part of.
Wasn't that totally amazing? Dare to go beyond others' frames. Dare to break boundaries and live life to the fullest. Being true to yourself. Be completely you. What does it mean to be completely you? Watch this video till the end and you will find out. In these times, things are very volatile on earth right now, as you know. We are all experiencing the pandemic, the COVID situation, then the economy is crashing, things are changing right now. A lot of people are also maybe getting depressed or mentally low, and they don't really know how to cope with this. What would your suggestion be to everybody in such a situation?
Well, most people would also agree that sooner or later, a rebalancing had to happen. We were on, look at the path we've been on, just taking whatever we want from the planet, cutting down all the forests we want, economic growth at any cost. Sooner or later, it was bound to happen. Now, it could have happened through a nuclear disaster. It could have happened through a major war. I think this is the most loving way the earth could have nudged us. I mean, I was just saying that how creative of the earth to come up with an invisible virus. And what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to be stuck at home. All right, that's the worst. Or you're going to get a flu. In most cases, you're going to recover. And a few people are going to die. All right. But I mean, if you think about it, it's like if the earth had to rebalance itself, I cannot think of a more loving way to. We could have had a major earthquake, a major tsunami, a major volcano, a meteor attack or a collision with the planet. We could have had a nuclear disaster. We could have had a world war. So many things could have gone wrong. This is one of the gentlest things that could have happened. And a rebalancing was very much required, right? For us to reconsider. We've been running. So I don't really buy what the news has to say. But from the news's perspective, the economy is crashing, people are losing jobs. Yeah, but look at all the amazing things. People are coming, families are coming together. I met a psychologist who was telling me that people keep talking about mental health, but people are having massive breakthroughs. They're having, what about that? What about the enlightenment that's happening? Right? There's a lot of cool stuff happening as well.
Yeah.
And people are rediscovering their purpose. They're questioning what it's all about. Traveling has reduced. People are finding that you can work from home. You don't have to necessarily go to an office. Given that not everyone's home is suitable for that work, that's fine. But the point is, we are really questioning a lot of very fundamental assumptions that we had. And we may still travel, but do I really need to travel? Do I really need to take that international trip? Do I really need to do all of that? Can it be simpler? The air in my city, Pune, is so clean after so long. You can see the sky again. It's a delight to look at the sky every day. And there would have been a price to pay anyway, but this is a small price to pay. I think we need to re-examine and reorient ourselves. And no pandemic has ever lasted more than 2 years. I mean, whether they create a vaccine or not, it's going to be done sooner or later. There's going to be herd immunity. We're going to be done with it. It's just a matter of time, right? Now, this is an opportunity. How do you use this? You can use this to feel really sad and low and disgusted and upset. Or you can say, I like this. Someone sent this meme, this cartoon, which said, humanity is the virus and corona is the vaccine. Which I think makes a lot of sense. We are the virus on this planet. We really are. If the ants disappear, the ecosystem collapses. If the bees disappear, the ecosystem collapses. If humans disappear, rivers run clean, skies clean up, forests regenerate, the whole ecosystem comes back into balance. So we are really the virus over here. And corona is the vaccine that's come to rebalance us. And that's the way I really see it, right? Now, most people may not like that, but this is an opportunity. And I don't think they need more advice from me. I think WhatsApp is full of advice. The internet is full of advice. You start practicing what you already know. Don't wait now for more advice. The biggest gap now is we are top heavy with too many concepts. And we are very impoverished and dry in our heart. So let's start converting some of the best things we already know and start living them. And then that is a good way to use this period of our life.
We are all bombarded by digitalization. And do you think that things like 5G and too much digitalization have an impact on either our intuitive abilities or abilities to connect to ourselves as human beings?
At a certain level of consciousness, that's true. which is why it's important for us to ascend a little bit. So there is, like, for example, in my own practice, when I was a monk, something funny happened that I would know before the phone rang. Anybody, like, not many monks had phones, but some of my teachers had a phone. Or we had a driver for our going to the city. He had a phone. And I would know 1 second before the phone rang, the phone's about to ring. So I had become sensitive enough that I would actually feel the ring before it actually rang. And then I was one of the few monks who knew how to use computers. So in our computer room, I had to use the laptop. And I would feel, using the trackpad of the laptop, my finger would begin to burn. Using it for an hour or two, my finger would begin to burn. And one day I decided, what is this business? Why should the mobile phone radiation affect me? Why should the laptop radiation affect me? I said, nothing doing. From now on, cell phones get affected by me, laptops get affected by me, I don't get affected by them. And that was the last time my finger burned. That was the last time I felt a buzz in my head before the phone rang. So you have to make a decision that I am not affected by 5G. 5G is affected by Nithya Ji, or whatever your name is, right? Palak Ji affects 5G, and Mohanji affects 5G, and Nithya Ji is not going to get affected by 5G. It's the other way around. And if you make that decision, then that's the way it is, right? So don't feel you're a victim of your environment. Your environment depends on you, which is actually closer to the truth. You're not in this world is in you. You start seeing it like that, and you start coming out of the matrix.
Would you like to say anything else to our viewers? Any message that you have?
Let me tune in. Let me see something. There's a nice quote by Richard Bach. He says, don't pretend yourself beyond your evolution. Don't pretend yourself beyond your evolution. What I really like about this is, wherever you are in your life, whatever stage you're at, really own it, right? So if you're in the stage of your life where making money seems very attractive, setting up your business seems very attractive, own it and go all out, right? If you're in the stage of life where looking for a life partner, you're looking romance, own it, go all out, right? If you're in the stage of life where knowledge, higher knowledge, spirituality, I want to learn, well, own it and go all out. And having done all of that, you're like, I've gotten, I'm getting nauseous. And one more spiritual concept, I'm going to vomit. Own it. Stop reading. Just be, right? So wherever you are in your life, own it. There's no mistake. I like to call this trust your process. And so, like, for example, a few years back, I got very fascinated with board games. And I have a big board game collection. It kind of slowly grew. And my board game collection is close to 400 board games, right? Spiritual teacher, board games, what is this? No, I'm going to own it. If this is what's coming in me, if there's a thirst in me to explore that part of me, which is gaming and fun and playfulness and enjoying with friends, then I'm not going to suppress that and say, I'm a spiritual guy, I'm going to meditate all the time. No, I'm going to own that. And at some point, that may be complete. Or maybe the spiritual thing will be complete. Who knows what's going to be complete? But the point is, can you really, really, really trust your process? Because I'm not here to be a Buddha. See, the Buddha role has been played. The Padma Sambhava role has been played. The Ramana Maharshi role has been played. The Palak role is getting played. The Mohanji role is being played. I'm not here to be any of those people. I'm here to be me. And so what does it mean to be me? What does it mean to be me, right? In the truest sense of the word. And not as a reaction to other people either, but just what is it? What does this life force within me, how does it want to play itself out? And can I allow it to do so without adding too many inhibitions and shoulds and shouldn'ts and this and that? So maybe the purpose of life is to be alive. Do what makes you come alive. And then it's like in one lifetime, you would have lived many lifetimes. You would move through things rather quickly. You'll move through whatever you're looking for in that materialist, so-called, there's no materialistic world, it's just one world, but so-called materialistic ambition. You will go through it rather quickly. You will get whatever you need to get. My so-called materialistic career was 4 months and I was done. I went through it, pretty successful. I'm done. Thank you very much, right? My monk thing was six years and it's done. And who knows how many more layers there are to go. My marriage, I had 6 years of marriage and it's done. I'm still wonderful friends with her. So it's beautiful. Just go through it and it's done. It's complete. And what needs to stay will stay. What needs to be done is done. So don't get caught up in these identities. Oh, I'm a spiritual person now. I'm a Buddhist monk now. I'm this now and this now. No. This is coming to visit me. Not I have become this. These things are coming to visit you. And then whatever little remaining, thirst was there in your soul. Or wouldn't it be nice to experience a lot of wealth? Wouldn't it be nice to experience beautiful women or men or whatever it is? Wouldn't it be nice to experience tasty food? Wouldn't it be nice to be loved by a lot of people? And you go through all of that and then you're done, right? So use this life, adventure of life, and go beyond your limited, narrow identities and then be done. And that would be a wonderful way. That would be the last message I want to share, is don't pretend yourself beyond your evolution. Wherever you are, that is the precise place where you need to be. And if you can love it, love it, love it to bits, then that becomes a portal, direct portal to your enlightenment. You may actually skip many stages. You may find your enlightenment right there. You may not have to go through many, many, many stages.
Okay, I'm going to quote Nithya. Don't pretend yourself beyond your evolution. Wherever you are, that is the precise place where you need to be. If you can love it, love it, love it to bits. I love it. I hope you took some inspiration from this show and do what makes you come alive. If you can see life from Nithya's eyes, life will be just a big smile. I wish you all the best. Put your India eyes on. If you haven't visited India, make sure you come here or subscribe to my channel for your daily and weekly dose of the secret India. I'm sharing the links below and I'll see you again very soon. Do click on the link below to watch this full episode and subscribe to my channel, The Palak Mehta Show on YouTube, for more content on Secret India.